So here we are. I'm on an exciting day today. Something that's going to be a little bit different, and I decided today is the day to get myself out of my comfort zone and do some new things. And the first thing I'm doing, which is out of my comfort zone, is this, which is all new. I've never done this before, and I have to be honest, feeling slightly self-conscious here, which also is why I'm right down the end of the platform. Also, in terms of being out of my comfort zone, I'm also getting the train this morning. I'm going somewhere different from my day-to-day work, and the forecast is 24 degrees where I'm going. So it's definitely going to be out of my comfort zone, but should be an exciting day ahead, I think, and certainly one that I remember, and certainly one that I think is really important in the work that we do. So I'll tell you more in just a minute. So you probably don't need to be a genius to know that I'm not in Somerset anymore. And it probably wouldn't be too much of a stretch of imagination to know possibly what this is behind me. But the question is, what am I doing in little old London? It possibly becomes a bit clearer when I do that, because I'm very pleased to say I've been invited along to Parliament today, which is very exciting, and definitely a first, and definitely out of my comfort zone. So I'm here to take part in a parliamentary roundtable debate looking at the first ever men's health strategy, which is hosted by a number of MPs, includes a few different people from around the country, and the Fatherhood Institute. And the reason I'm here today is really representing the project that Dr. Joe Nicol started off a little while back, which you may be familiar with if you've listened to a previous podcast of ours, on supporting new fathers and their health. And the government were really interested to hear about that. So I'm very pleased I've been invited along here today and have a slot to present the findings really from the project we've been working on and the training we've been doing around supporting new fathers. And so yeah, it should be quite an interesting day today, I think. So what I'm going to try and do, if I can, is catch a few snippets when I'm in there, possibly get to chat to Jeremy, who you may have heard from before from the Fatherhood Institute, again from another podcast episode that we did on engaging with fathers. So the question is really, why is this so important? Anybody that knows me, you'll know that I'm a bit of a stuck record when it comes to engaging with fathers. I've been involved in training around it. I've also been involved in wider work, Dad's Breakfast Club, other bits and pieces. But the reason is, it is absolutely crucial. If we look at it from any angle, absolutely any angle, it is vital that we're better engaging with dads. We're not very good at it, is the truth, sadly, still. And we need to keep on getting better at it. We've got a bit of a saying at the moment is, we need to get to a point where it's business as usual, because when we look at all the services available, we look at the service engagement, it remains really poor. And ultimately, we're letting children down as a result of that. It comes out time and time again from reviews that children were harmed because we didn't engage with fathers, we didn't understand their experiences. We're letting children down if we don't actually take the time or bother to try and understand half of their lives, essentially. I'm a dad. I like to think I'm quite actively involved in my children's lives. I've experienced firsthand some of the barriers that even very proactively engaged dads can face when we're looking at services. And we're doing everybody a disservice as a result of this. So the aim today, really, focusing on the new men's health strategy, is to try and start to address that a little bit. It's not going to be a solution to everything, but the more we can do to make it business as usual, the better things are going to be for society as a whole. Because often it's seen as just, it would be a nice little add-on. Wouldn't it be nice if we were nice to dads? It's not about that at all. And the more I look into this over time, the more passionate I've become about it. I was doing delivering some training recently with a colleague, Adam, on the becoming trauma-informed training. And we had a bit of a chat about this. And he was saying, if you look right the way back, coming out from the Second World War, and we look at the development of attachment theory, which was so strongly rooted in the importance of mothers. And don't get me wrong, mums are extremely important in children's lives, but not at the disregard of the role that fathers play and the importance that fathers play. The first evolution of attachment theory was so strongly rooted in the important role that mothers play, and completely missed the point about fathers. Now, why is that? So, take back in time a little bit. End of the Second World War, lots of males, soldiers abroad fighting, the rise of women coming into the workforce, taking those men's jobs to support the war effort, working in factories, working on farms, working on the land. And coming out from that, there are a lot of concerns of men coming back from war, needing to sort of settle back into normal life, if you like, but coming back to a society that's potentially changed forever. Women, for the first time, are out of the home. They are working proactively, and actually demonstrating they can do it, and they can do a damn good job of it as well. Now, obviously, this then creates a bit of fear and panic, not just in the government, but as a whole society. What are we going to do? Society has changed forever. Society is going to crumble. Our nuclear family that we had, with mothers at home, fathers out at work, being the provider, it's all going to fall apart, and that's very scary. And what are we going to do about this? We have the attachment theory developing. We have men coming back from war. So we see this real push, essentially, to get women back into the home. And it worked, quite frankly. It worked a treat. But here we are, 80 years or more down the line, and society has changed irreparably. We are no longer in a situation where there is this kind of luxury of one parent being at home and the other parent out working. Many families are in a position where both parents are having to be out working. So society has changed. But what hasn't changed is that shift in what we see as gender roles, traditional gender roles. We still see men, still see fathers as secondary. Mothers, they are the important ones. When we look right the way across the system, when we look at services that are there to engage with families, when we're looking at family court systems, we're still in a position where the vast focus is really around the mothers. And I say, don't get me wrong, mothers play an incredibly vital role and an amazing role for children's lives. But what we need to do is look at the roles that fathers play as well alongside that, because otherwise we're just perpetuating these sort of gender stereotypes. And actually what we're kind of, in a way, searching for still is that return to that nuclear family. And it's not there anymore, it's gone. And so we need to shift as a society, we need to shift our focus. And actually the only way we can do that is to support people effectively and support fathers effectively. And we need to change that view, we need to change that perception, we need to change ourselves because we need to be part of that change. I think one thing coming out from COVID was actually, again, that recognition that things have changed forever coming out from that. We had many more fathers, much more engaged with their children. That comes out very clearly from Bringing Baby Home, another review from the Fatherhood Institute, which looked at the role that fathers play. But we need to catch up with that, and we need to catch up with it very quickly. Things are changing so rapidly. And even in the last few years, the experience that children have now is very different to the experience of children just a few years ago. So hopefully, we can be all part of that shift and start to move things forward a little bit. That'd be nice, eh? Well, that was a really interesting debate that just took place in Parliament around support for new fathers. And thank you so much to the Fatherhood Institute for putting that together. It was amazing to see Kathy, CEO, and Jeremy Davies, who I've met before and recorded before online, but never actually met him in person. And thank you so much as well to the MPs who took the time to come and be part of the debate. But I think what was most interesting about what I heard about, there were some really inspirational people sitting within the room and just hearing some of the stories. And a lot of it wasn't rocket science. I think that message came across time and time again. It can be very simple changes sometimes. Yes, it does need policy change. Yes, it does need societal shift. Obviously heard from Kathy and from Jeremy from the Fatherhood Institute. We heard from Suffolk County Council as well, from the Health Visiting Service there, who talked about linking fathers and shared children's records, health medical records. Jessica Hobb from the University of London, from some of the research she'd done. He had Arsenal FC there, represented by Drew. Great to hear about the work that he's been doing with the football club, with Arsenal. Marvin from Dope Black Dads, he was brilliant, talking very much about that script, that narrative that we have about fathers, and they need to change that. Kieran as well from Dad Matters, hearing their experiences, but also hearing about things that work, things that don't work. So needless to say, it was a very long and very tiring day, but definitely worth it, and hope that this one small fragment of change can be part of a much larger shift in thinking and in practice. Check out the links on the screen if you want to find out more about the work that's taking place.